Hey everybody, this is Dalton over at Reading Glide Publishing, and this video today is all about ways to instill lifelong learning. Nowadays, I see that people learn just to pass a test or get through a class, get that A, get that perfect 4.0. All they care about is just moving from one hoop to another. And it's just funny that people think, oh, I gotta go from high school to college, I gotta get an MBA, I gotta get an advanced degree, I gotta do this. And I was like, I think myself, that's great, and some professions, like if you want to be a teacher, if you want to be a lawyer, a doctor, then you definitely need an advanced degree. But I think there are ways to instill lifelong learning outside the classroom. So nowadays, things are very competitive with college entrance exams and just learning for the sake of passing a test. And it takes away the fun of learning. And it's just funny though, because I've been out of college for about 3 years and I have actually read more books and I've enjoyed them a lot more than I did when I was in college. I mean, when I was in college, I would just kind of get through things and I was just kind of whatever. I did fine, but I didn't really have that passion for learning. I really like to read, and I've worked on side projects. I've learned more, and I just think that's very kind of it's kind of a paradox. It's like your real education begins like once you leave school. So some ways to instill lifelong learning, and this kind of goes on what I was saying, is having projects based on your interests. So having projects, say, if you want to learn more about, I don't know, coastal development or environmental science, and you have a project and you learn about how there are ways to help preserve the coast, help preserve the environment. I actually did a project on this when I was in high school as a senior project. I gave a speech, I did a paper, and I learned a lot that way. And it was more fun than just memorizing answers for a test and just doing rote memorization. So having project-based learning is very important, and it's actually really cool though nowadays with the internet. There are places like Udemy and Teachable where you can learn skills for next to nothing. I mean, on Udemy you can learn about SEO, HTML, you can learn about copywriting, and some classes only cost $10. And I think that's really cool. You can use the internet, you can use YouTube videos like this one to learn more about certain products or how to fix something, how to do WordPress. And besides this site, I have another site called thegringoguides.com where I talk about learning Spanish language and culture. And that site has enabled me to learn about WordPress, how to become a better writer, the fundamentals of SEO, some YouTube kind of information. And I think it's kind of cool how like I've used these side projects to learn even more. And with the gringoguides.com, writing about ways to distinguish between Sarah and a star, predator versus imperfect, it kind of helped my own knowledge too. And there's a saying, if you know something well enough you can teach it, then you've truly mastered the material. I mean, that is a big difference from just memorizing the endings and hoping it works and just getting through Spanish 201. I mean, I think that's a really great thing. Now, another way to install lifelong learning is by traveling. I think traveling is one of the best things you can do. And there's a saying, traveling is the only thing that you buy that makes you richer. And I agree with it 110%. And with traveling, it helps you learn different languages. I actually lived in Spain for a semester. It really helped my Spanish and helps you kind of learn about the culture, helps you kind of think on your feet, for lack of a better term, and helps you build relationships. And it was actually really cool though because I met a lot of people in Spain that were Spanish and Mexican. I learned about different Spanish phrases and slang, and I actually put that in the description below. It was one of the posts I've written, and I thought it was kind of interesting because I would have never learned this in the classroom, and it was a really fun way to kind of learn about that. And then I also took a Spanish history class when I was over there. It was kind of about the history of Spain from the Arab conquest to the Golden Age, and then the dictatorship of Francisco Franco. And while that was a good class, it was really cool actually going to the areas and seeing the history behind it, seeing, wow, this is where something occurred, going to places like the Prado, like seeing, wow, okay, this actually happened. It's not just some some event. I mean, just seeing what is there. And yeah, just travel is it's just great. I mean, it's one of the best things you can do. And the thing is, it doesn't have to be that far. It can even just be a day trip to somewhere cool. And then my last tip is going to local events and museums. And some museums, I mean, you think, oh, museums are boring and dry, but not necessarily. I mean, places like Balboa Park, they have 17 museums. They have all these gardens. They have all these like cool things, and some are even meant for kids. I mean, there's one museum called Museum of Man. They have a sarcophagus puzzle, so young kids can learn about Egypt and play with mummies and do that kind of stuff. And I think that's pretty cool. And then like having cultural festivals like the Tet Festival in Costa Mesa, you can learn more about like Vietnamese culture, the food, the parades. And I think having the ability to go to local events and museums, I think it's a great way to instill lifelong learning. Well, that's it. Those are some ways to become a lifelong learner. And I hope you like this video. Please feel free to like, subscribe, do that button wherever it is, and share with your friends. And even tell me some ways that you can be a lifelong learner. And thanks again. Bye.